It started with olive oil. Not a scream, not a slap, not even a whispered lie, just olive oil. I was standing in aisle 4 of the local grocery store, scanning the shelves like a man on a mission. Because I was a man on a mission. Tonight was the night. The kind where you try to drag a sinking relationship back to shore using nothing but linguine and a desperate prayer. Ashley had been distant for months. Not cold. That would have been easier to deal with. No, she was lukewarm. Polite enough to be confusing, warm enough to avoid suspicion, but just attached enough to keep me guessing. Like trying to hug someone through a shower curtain. Still, I convinced myself it was stress. Work. Hormones. The moon. Anything but what it probably was. So, I planned dinner. Not takeout. Not leftovers. I mean real dinner. Candles, music, hand-chopped parsley. Steak for me. Mushroom risotto for her. And her favorite wine. I was about to grab the bottle of olive oil when my phone buzzed in my back pocket. It was a message from Drew, a friend of ours. One of those middle ground mutuals who doesn't do drama and definitely doesn't text without a reason. Your girlfriend just walked into Brio. Not with you. Just like that. No emojis. No explanation. 7 words that hit like a car crash at a green light. My first thought? Girlfriend? Not wife. I knew Drew meant it in the casual sense, but something about that word, girlfriend, stung. Like the universe had downgraded my entire marriage without asking. My second thought? I didn't ask who. I didn't ask what she was wearing. I didn't even ask if Drew was sure. I just texted. Send me the table number. And he did. I left the cart right there. Steak sweating, pasta box tilted sideways, and that lonely bottle of olive oil staring back at me like it knew I wouldn't need it anymore. I don't remember the drive. Honest. It's like my body drove itself while my brain sat in the back seat, chewing on its own nerves. My hands stayed at 10 and 2. My heart was doing 130 in a school zone. Rio Ristorante sat like a smug little secret in the corner of the plaza. One of those dimly lit, white tablecloth places where cheating probably feels cinematic. I parked 4 rows back, out of habit, I guess. You don't want to be seen when you're the one being betrayed. Something about that feels backward. I stepped inside and scanned the place. The hostess smiled. Reservation? She asked. No, I said. Just picking up a tab. She looked confused, but I was already walking. Table 12. Booth by the window. And there she was. Ashley. My wife. Wearing the red wrap dress she swore she didn't like anymore. Laughing. Head tilted. That tilt. That I'm so charmed tilt. Her hand resting on the table. Close, too close, to someone else's. A man. Broad shoulders, smug smile, sipping wine like he owned the place and her attention. I didn't say a word. Not one syllable. I walked to the bar, waved over the server, and handed him my card. That couple by the window? I said. Put their tab on me. He blinked. Excuse me. You heard me. Their meal. Their drinks. Dessert too. Whatever they order. It's on me. He nodded slowly, confused, but took the card. I turned to leave. Did she see me? I don't know. I didn't check. Maybe she caught my reflection in the wine glass. Maybe not. Doesn't matter. Because in that moment, something inside me shifted. Not shattered, no. This wasn't a break. It was a disconnect. Like a light switch flipped in a room I didn't even know was wired. Back in the car, I just sat there. No tears. No screaming into the steering wheel. Just silence. The kind that stretches across your skin like static. And that's when my phone buzzed again. Another message from Drew. You good? I stared at it. The blinking cursor waited for a response. Then, I typed. Yeah, she's paid for. I hit send. Then I started the engine. And just like that, the evening I was supposed to win her back became the night I started writing her out. You ever open your front door and realize the house feels wrong? Not messy. Not ransacked. Just off. Like a movie set of your own life where the props are all slightly too perfect. That was me walking back into the house that night. I'd left the kitchen half prepped for a dinner that would never happen. Garlic still minced. Playlist queued. Candles unlit. It felt like I'd set the stage for a romance, and then she'd gone and rewritten the script while I was still memorizing my lines. Her coat was still on the hook. That surprised me. She never left her coat behind. Ashley treated that trench like it was woven from the lost threads of royalty. Expensive, beige, and always draped just so. A fashion statement that screamed, I brunch with people you can't afford to know. I wasn't going to snoop. Not yet. But something made me check the pockets. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was the ghost of the olive oil that never got used. And there it was. A button. Not from her coat. Nope. A navy blue button, thick and plastic, clearly torn from a man's blazer. Still had a loose thread attached like it had fought to stay put. Like it had a story to tell but got yanked out before the ending. That wasn't mine. I don't wear navy. And Ashley? She wouldn't be caught dead carrying around someone else's tailoring debris unless it meant something. Unless it was, I don't know, souvenir adjacent. I sat down at the kitchen table, turned the button over in my fingers. It looked generic enough. Could have belonged to 100 guys. But in that moment, it felt personal. Then my phone buzzed again. Voicemail this time. From her. I let it play on speaker while I stared at the button like it might confess under pressure. Hey babe, something came up. I'll be late. Don't wait up, okay? Just heat up the pasta or whatever you made. Love you. Whatever you made. That line stuck with me. Like she was talking to an employee who overprepared. She hadn't even noticed I wasn't at the restaurant. Or worse, she had, and this was her cover story. Either way, it told me something I didn't want to believe but couldn't unknow. I wasn't just being taken for granted. I was being managed, buffered, pushed to the edges of my own marriage like a portrait in a dusty frame. I didn't respond. I didn't call back. I just sat there in that silent, overly clean kitchen with a button in my hand and a dead playlist humming from my phone. Next morning, Ashley breezed in around 10 a.m. Unbothered, hair curled, coffee in hand like she'd stepped out of a commercial for living your best double life. Morning, she said, dropping her purse on the console. Sorry, I missed dinner. I didn't say anything. Just looked at her coat on the hook. Then at her. Then back again. She raised an eyebrow. What? Still, I said nothing. I just reached into the coat pocket and pulled out the button. Held it up. She blinked once. That was it. No gasp. No nervous giggle. No dramatic, oh my God, that's not mine. Just one blink. Then a shrug. Huh, she said, sipping her coffee. Weird. No idea. Weird. No idea. That was the entire defense. I slid the button across the table. She didn't even pick it up. Ashley, I said quietly. Where were you last night? She didn't look up from her cup. Out. I told you. With who? She tilted her head, finally making eye contact, that same tilt she used at Brio. You don't trust me? She asked. And there it was. The trap. Because the second you say no, you're the paranoid one. The villain. The ungrateful husband who can't take a little mystery. And if you say yes, well, then you're lying to yourself. I trust patterns, I said. And yours just changed. She scoffed. You're being dramatic. Maybe, I said. But someone's missing a button. And I don't think it's me. She turned and walked upstairs without another word. I sat back down at the kitchen table. Looked at the waxed candles. The empty plates. The playlist still blinking paused. And something clicked. Not anger. Not pain. Strategy. Because if she wanted to play games. She had no idea how long I've been watching from the sidelines. And the next move? Was mine. It was supposed to be steak. That was the plan. Medium rare, seared in cast iron, paired with a risotto that I'd practiced 3 times in secret like I was auditioning for Chopped, Husband Edition. But instead of plating dinner, I was standing in the Brio parking lot with my heart in my throat and a receipt in my hand. Let me rewind. That button had haunted me all night. I kept it on the nightstand like some twisted little trophy, proof that my instincts weren't just paranoid noise. But instincts need evidence. And evidence? Evidence likes receipts. So I called in a favor. Drew, the guy who'd texted me from the restaurant, wasn't just a casual acquaintance. He was our mutual friend, the kind of guy who always knew more than he let on. He was also the kind of guy who would never start drama unless the drama came looking for him with a steak knife and a wine list. I texted him again. Simple. You said Brio. Which table? He replied instantly. Window seat. Table 12. Around 7:20. That number stuck with me. I pulled up the restaurant's website, found the main line, and called. The hostess sounded about 20 and blessedly bored. Hi, I said, trying to keep my voice even. My wife and I were supposed to have dinner there last night. I think she paid, but I wanted to double check. It was table 12. Window seat. Around 7:20. Oh. Yeah, she said, flipping pages. I remember that table. The guy paid. The guy. Right. Do you have the name on the check? Hold on, she said, tapping keys. Then, Chase Donovan. That name hit me like a brick wrapped in velvet. I had heard it before. Too many times. The coworker. The mentor. The man Ashley swore was just a friend. Chase gets it, she'd say. You wouldn't understand. It's a creative thing. I'd smile, nod, let it go. Turns out, I was the creative one. Creating an entire reality where my wife wasn't slipping away in designer heels and office chemistry. I asked the hostess to print me a copy of the bill, said I'd pick it up myself. She agreed. Maybe she heard something in my voice. Maybe she'd seen this before. So there I was, in the parking lot, gripping a printout like it might still be warm from betrayal. 2 entrees. 1 bottle of wine. Tiramisu. And a note at the bottom. Thank you for the wonderful evening, CD. That's when the heat hit my face. Not rage. Something colder. Shame, maybe. Or clarity. They toasted their affair while I was peeling garlic in my own kitchen. I was the punchline in a joke I never heard. I got back in the car. I didn't drive home. Instead, I drove to the edge of town. There's this overlook that Ashley always loved, the kind of place you go when you want to feel small, but in a poetic way. Funny thing is, I never liked it much. Felt like too many people went there to lie to themselves about fresh starts. But that night, I finally understood why. I sat on the hood of my car and looked out at the city lights, the receipt fluttering beside me like a flag of surrender. And that's when the first tear hit my cheek. Only one. That's all it got. Because here's the thing no one tells you about betrayal. It doesn't break you. It removes you. Like being silently voted off your own life. But I wasn't going to be the guy who begged for his spot back. Not anymore. When I walked into the house later that night, Ashley was in bed. Lights off. Covers up. No apology. No, how was your night? She probably thought her lie had landed clean. I placed the receipt on her nightstand. Quietly. Then I crawled into bed beside her. Not to sleep. Just to feel how far the distance had grown. And in that silence, in the darkness, I whispered just loud enough for her to hear. Chase tips like a coward. She didn't say a word. The next morning, Ashley made eggs. Let me be clear. She doesn't make eggs. Never liked the smell. Claimed it clung to her hair, like betrayal clings to memory. But that morning? Oh, she scrambled too and even added cheese. Sat there at the kitchen island in an oversized sweater, acting like the night before didn't end with a receipt and silence between us thick enough to spread on toast. She slid the plate toward me. You need to eat, she said softly, like her voice alone was a band-aid for a bullet wound. I stared at the eggs. They looked good. Fluffy. Golden. Deceptively whole. You know what's funny about eggs? I said, picking up a fork. You have to break them first. She paused, mid-sip of her green smoothie. Excuse me. I didn't answer. I just took a bite and let the silence carry the weight. We played domestic charades all morning. She folded laundry. I vacuumed a rug we both knew was clean. She asked about my week like we didn't just survive a Category 5 marital hurricane. Then around noon, she finally broke the script. Are you going to say something? I looked up from my laptop. I already did. She frowned. About Chase. There it was. A single word, dropped like a cracked dish in a silent room. I'm waiting for the part where you deny it, I said, closing the lid of my laptop gently, not because I was calm, but because I wanted her to see how calm I wasn't. Ashley didn't flinch. She crossed her arms. It wasn't serious. That line. That pathetic, half-true whisper of a defense. No, not you're wrong. Just it wasn't serious. I nodded. That's a relief. So when did this unserious thing start? She didn't answer. When you stopped touching me? I continued. When you started coming home late from work with perfect hair and a full stomach? I don't owe you a breakdown of timelines, she said sharply. Right? I said. Because you're the victim here. She blinked. That's not what I said. But it's how you're acting, I shot back. You want me to comfort you through your own betrayal. That stopped her. She looked away for a second, and when she came back, her face had hardened. The performance was over. I was lonely, she said. You were emotionally unavailable. You mean stable? No, she snapped. I mean, dull, predictable. You don't change. You don't chase. You just exist. There it was. The thesis of her whole secret life. I made her feel safe. She hated that. I stood, walked slowly over to the fridge, and pulled out her smoothie. Tipped it over the sink and watched it pour out like the trust one once had. When I turned back, she looked stunned. You're not the only one who gets to throw things away, I said. The rest of the day passed in a weird kind of emotional purgatory. She sulked upstairs. I took the long way to the grocery store just to breathe. But I wasn't spiraling. Not anymore. Because something had shifted in me, not rage, not heartbreak. Tactic. Ashley wanted to rewrite the narrative. Turn this into a mutual falling apart. Blur the lines. Water down the truth until it felt more like a misunderstanding than a choice. So I decided to give her what she wanted, just enough rope. I started smiling more, talking softer. I even complimented her earrings at dinner. She looked confused, suspicious. Perfect. Because a storm doesn't knock at your door. It waits above the clouds, pretending to pass. And then, one morning, it drops the sky. Later that night, she climbed into bed beside me. No words, just presence. But I felt the question hanging in the air between us. Is it over? And my answer, without saying a word? Not yet. 3 days. That's how long I played nice. 3 days of soft smiles and empty conversations. 3 days of pretending I didn't know she'd turned our marriage into an open bar for emotional infidelity. I cooked dinner. I asked how her meetings went. I even left a note in her car one morning. Have a great day, love you. She texted back a heart emoji. I stared at it like it was a participation trophy from a race I never signed up for. But this wasn't about anger anymore. This was about information. And patience. See, Ashley thought she'd won. She thought I'd accepted it, maybe even forgiven her. But that's the mistake people make when they cheat on someone who's quiet. They forget that silence is a strategy, not surrender. So I called Drew again. Told him I owed him lunch for the heads up. Said I just wanted to talk. He met me at a little cafe near the university, one of those places that serves pour-over coffee and existential dread. He looked hesitant. You doing okay? I nodded. I need a favor. He leaned in. What kind? Tell me what you know about Chase Donovan. All of it. Drew raised his eyebrows. You want dirt? I shook my head. I want facts. He sighed. Well, Chase isn't just some coworker. He's on the board. Technically her boss. Makes twice what she does, drives a Beamer, cheats on his taxes, probably pets cats too hard. Married. Divorced. Twice. Figures. And he's got a type, Drew added. Ambitious women. Vulnerable. Looking for validation. He makes them feel like geniuses, then ditches them once they start asking for toothbrush space. I nodded slowly. This wasn't a man in love. This was a serial arsonist posing as a camp counselor. Drew leaned back. Why the sudden curiosity? Because I'm going to thank him. Drew stared at me. What? It didn't take much to figure out Chase's habits. People like him are predictable. Predictability is how they hide. Same gym, same cafe every Thursday at 8:30 a.m., right after his morning strategy calls. That Thursday, I showed up at the cafe wearing the nicest jacket Ashley ever bought me. The one she used to brag about. My husband looks like a CEO in this. Chase was already seated. Alone. Pouring sugar into his espresso like he was trying to drown it. I walked up slowly. Mind if I join you? He looked up. Smirked. Logan, right? Ashley's husband. Still am, I said, pulling out a chair. Mind if I sit? He gestured lazily. Free country. I didn't waste time. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to say thank you. That got him. The smirk faltered. Excuse me. You've shown me who she really is. Saved me another 10 years of guessing. He laughed, a short, arrogant puff. She told me you'd take it hard. I'm not taking it, I said calmly. I'm repurposing it. He raised an eyebrow. Into what? A case study. That confused him. I leaned in, voice lower. See, you think you're the wolf here. But I've been documenting every step of this, quietly. Dates. Receipts. Messages. And you? You've just become Exhibit A in a very public divorce. His eyes narrowed. You're bluffing. I smiled. Ashley used our shared cloud account to back up her phone. She never logged out after Vegas. I have everything. He stiffened. I let that sink in for a second. I'm not going to sue you. I'm not going to confront her. I'm going to let her talk first. And when she lies, which she will, I'll show her what it feels like to be outmaneuvered by the man she underestimated. He looked like he wanted to say something clever, but nothing came. I stood up, buttoned the jacket. Oh, and Chase. He looked up. You tip like a coward. I left that cafe with no raised voices, no fists, no drama. Just a quiet, surgical slice of clarity. Ashley didn't know it yet, but the walls were starting to shift. The floor beneath her was warm, but not for long, because I wasn't trying to hurt her anymore. I was going to remove her. Completely. Cleanly. Permanently. Ashley always had a flair for theatrics. You know the type, fights that come with pauses for dramatic effect, apologies rehearsed like monologues, and somehow always managing to cry without smudging her eyeliner. So when she came home from work that night and said, "We need to talk," I already knew she had something rehearsed. I poured myself a drink, sat down at the table. She stayed standing, a power move. Except I'd already taken the power. I just hadn't announced it yet. "I haven't been honest," she said, eyes glossy, hands clasped like a schoolgirl at confession. I sipped. She exhaled. "There's someone at work." There it was. The soft entry. Not, "I've been cheating." Just someone. An ambiguous third-party character, floating in the story like a maybe. "Chase?" I asked. She flinched. So much for ambiguous. Her voice dropped. It didn't mean anything. It was just attention. I didn't sleep with him. Lie. A clean, clinical lie, not meant to deceive, just to mitigate. Because that's what people like Ashley do. They don't lie to rewrite the truth. They lie to resize it. To trim it down until it fits inside a box labeled maybe forgivable. I didn't interrupt. I just nodded, like a therapist whose pen was made of dynamite. "It was just emotional," she added, like that made it better. "He understood things you didn't. Work stuff. Creative stuff. And I got carried away. Carried away. Like infidelity was a rogue breeze that picked her up and tossed her into a booth with red wine and shared desserts." Then she looked at me. Soft. Almost tender. "I want to fix this. Now here's the thing that should have made my heart twist. It used to. But not tonight. Tonight, I was ready. So I leaned forward. Calm. Measured. "Okay," I said. "Let's fix it." She blinked. "Really?" I nodded. "Absolutely. But first, full honesty." She hesitated. And that was her last chance. "Did anything physical happen?" She looked away. "Just one kiss." Lie number 2. "Did you see him outside of work?" She nodded. "Once." Lie number 3. I smiled. Not because I was happy, but because I knew what came next. "Okay," I said. "That's good to know." She tilted her head, visibly surprised I wasn't exploding. "You're not mad?" "Oh, I'm furious," I said. "But not at you." Her brow furrowed. "Then who?" "At myself. For not preparing sooner." She opened her mouth to respond, but I was already on my feet, walking to the hallway table. From the drawer, I pulled out a manila envelope. Thick. Heavy. Tidy. I laid it on the kitchen table like a scalpel on an operating tray. Her eyes darted. "What is that?" "Everything," I said. "Messages. Locations. Timestamps. The hotel charge from 2 Fridays ago. You know, the weekend you said you were at your mom's helping fix her garden." Her face lost color faster than a Polaroid left in the rain. "You." "I knew before the receipt," I said. "I knew before Drew texted me from Brio. I knew when you started charging Sephora to your business card, but hiding the receipts in your sock drawer." Silence. Not because she had nothing to say, but because she was recalculating. Trying to find the right lie to stitch together an escape route. But there weren't any left. I sat back down, placed my drink beside the envelope. "And you want to fix this?" I asked. She swallowed. "Yes." "Great," I said. "Then I'm going to need something from you." "What?" "Your signature. On these." I reached down and pulled out the second envelope. This one thinner. This one labeled, "Separation Agreement." Ashley stared at it like it was a foreign language printed in betrayal. "You're divorcing me?" "I'm giving you what you wanted," I said. "Freedom. You said you needed someone who made you feel something." She nodded slowly. "And you think this is it? Just cut and run?" "No," I said. "This is surgical. And clean. And quiet. Because the next version of me doesn't need to scream." She didn't touch the papers. She just sat there, eyes wide, world tilting. I stood, grabbed my coat, and before I walked out, I turned back to her one last time. "You wanted someone unpredictable, Ashley." Surprise. Then I closed the door behind me. The silence that followed the envelope wasn't peaceful. It was strategic. Ashley didn't sign anything that night. She didn't scream, or throw plates, or beg. She just went quiet, the kind of quiet that makes you check your locks twice. I moved out the next morning. Didn't leave a note. Didn't leave my ring. Just left. By noon, I'd rented a loft downtown. Sparse, but clean. No echoes of perfume. No lying eyes across the dinner table. Just space. She texted twice that day. "We should talk." Then, "I don't understand why you're doing this." I didn't reply. Instead, I drafted an email. Subject line, "Conflict of Interest, Ashley Donovan." It went out to HR at her company, CC to their legal department. Attached, Timestamped evidence, hotel receipts, and one particularly illuminating string of messages between her and Chase on the company Slack, where they flirted right in between Q3 launch projections and Monday sync rest. You want poetic revenge? Here it was. Because Ashley didn't just cheat on a husband, she violated her workplace ethics policy. And Chase? Well, the board was going to have questions. By Friday, she called. You went to my job? She hissed into the phone. No, I said calmly. I went to your career. Slight difference. She exhaled hard. You want to ruin me? No, Ashley. I want to stop protecting you. She went quiet, then hung up. Chase was suspended within a week. Ashley got called into HR on a Tuesday. She showed up in her best blazer and walked out looking like she'd aged 5 years and 40 minutes. How do I know? Because Drew sent me a picture. She looked pale, unmoored. That smug confidence replaced with something raw and unfinished. No job, no marriage, no fallback plan. I wasn't celebrating, not exactly. I wasn't popping champagne. I was rebuilding. Quietly, brick by honest brick. I started running again. Started sleeping. I even bought a cheap espresso machine and started every morning making the exact kind of latte she used to mock me for. You try so hard to be special, she once said. No, Ashley. I tried hard to matter. You just got tired of watching me try. 2 months later, she called again. I signed the papers, she said. You win. I wasn't playing, I replied. But we both knew I was lying. She asked if we could meet. One final dinner. Just closure. I agreed. I picked the place. Brio. Same table. Table 12. I even requested it. She showed up in black. Subtle makeup. Eyes heavier than I remembered. You look good, she said. I feel free, I said. The server came. I ordered wine, the same bottle she'd shared with Chase. She didn't touch hers. I was scared, she said finally, of being bored, of fading into a marriage that didn't challenge me. And instead, you became a case study in self-destruction. She winced. I didn't think you'd leave, she whispered. I thought you'd fight for me. I looked her dead in the eyes. I did, I said. Every day before you even noticed we were drifting. And you mistook my peace for weakness. She wiped her cheek, smearing what little mascara she had left. I loved you, she said. No, I said, finishing my glass. You loved the version of me that let you feel shiny. But the second I stopped reflecting your fantasy, you went chasing someone else's. And with that, I stood, dropped 100 on the table, and left her sitting there. Same booth, same wine, same seat. But this time, she picked up the bill. Ashley moved out of state 6 weeks later. A mutual friend said she was trying to reinvent herself, taking painting classes, traveling, doing the inner work. Good for her. I wasn't bitter. I was clear. I took my story, the whole bruised, beautiful, ridiculous story, and I wrote it down. Every step, every lie, every win. Not because I needed revenge, but because I needed a record. Something real, with sharp edges. So I'd never round them off again in the name of nostalgia. The last thing I found in the house before I sold it? A bottle of unopened olive oil. Same one from the night it all started. I set it on the counter. Wrote one word on a sticky note. Almost. Then I walked out. Not broken. Not bitter. Just done. And that? That was the best surprise of all.